It's today's BBC News at 1. You can keep up to date with all the latest developments on our BBC website. The news does continue here on BBC One now. It's time to join our colleagues across the nations and the regions for the news where you are. But from me and the team, do have a very good afternoon.
Thank you, Ben. On Look East this lunchtime, a parliamentary panel finds that the MP for Wellingborough bullied a member of his staff many times. There's uncertainty over the future of one of our MPs this lunchtime who's facing being suspended from the House of Commons. Peter Bone, the MP for Wellingborough, is accused of bullying and sexual misconduct. He says the allegations are without foundation. Our political editor Andrew Sinclair is here, and Peter Bone is a well-known political figure, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been an MP for 18 years. He had a majority of 18,500 at the last election. In Parliament, he's well known for his laconic style. He's on the right of the Conservative Party. You may remember he was a leading Brexiteer. Now, these allegations against him are historic. They come from a former member of staff who first complained to the Conservative Party, and then he took his complaints to the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner after the Tory Party failed to resolve those complaints. The Commissioner for Standards has concluded that Mr Bone committed 4 acts of bullying, including verbally belittling, ridiculing and humiliating the member of staff, also hitting him and throwing things at him, and there's also 1 allegation of sexual misconduct. Now, the body that oversees all of this is now recommending that Mr Bone be suspended from Parliament for 6 weeks. If MPs agree with that, that will trigger what's known as a recall petition, and that could lead to a by-election.
And what's Mr Bone had to say about it?
Well, this lunchtime he's issued a pretty angry statement in which he says none of the misconduct allegations ever took place. They're false and untrue. They're without foundation. And he goes on to say that during the inquiry, witness statements were submitted from 10 of his staff, current and former, who testified to the professional, accommodating and friendly places officers to work in. And he concludes saying, it's been a great honour and privilege to represent the people of Wellingborough and Rushden. I will continue to represent them to the best of my ability. Parliament will probably discuss this report next week, and that's when they'll decide if Mr Bone should be suspended for 6 weeks.
Andrew, thank you very much. Staying with politics, as you may have seen, it's the final few days of campaigning in mid-Bedfordshire, where there's a by-election sparked by Nadine Dorries' resignation. One of the big issues is housing, and yesterday in a special BBC debate, some of the candidates clashed over how much more is needed and where it should go.
If we keep building at the rate that we are doing here in mid-Beds, we're never going to have enough GP surgeries. We're never going to have enough transportation links.
We have had years and years of a Conservative government that has allowed developers to build what they want, wherever they want, and ignored our communities. People have been ignored.
We need to have sensible reform of the green belt so that land that is clearly not beautiful countryside is brought back into the housing stock. It's unacceptable that car parks, petrol stations on the outskirts of London aren't being built on.
And you can see that Politics East debate on BBC iPlayer, and there are a total of 13 candidates standing in this week's by-election. Here they all are. You can find out more about them and their views on issues like housing by going to the BBC News website and searching for Mid-Bedfordshire. Lesbian couples say they're being priced out of starting a family by what they've called a gay tax. That means they have to pay tens of thousands of pounds for private fertility treatment to qualify for NHS support. 1 year after the government promised to remove financial barriers, BBC Analysis has found just 4 areas in England actually offer equal access to all. Lauren Moss has been speaking to a couple in Norwich.
Baby. He wakes up in the morning and he's smiling at you.
Yeah. Kate and Kerry always dreamed of having children, but as a lesbian couple, they knew it would be a challenge and expensive.
It was a big emotional roller coaster, and you find that something you want so badly, it's all you seem to think about.
To save for their future, they moved to China, where they worked for a couple of years as teachers before returning home to Norwich. They got married and began looking into starting a family.
I remember going to the GP about this, and he told me quite quickly, you will not be eligible on the NHS.
How much has IVF cost you?
We've worked out between 17 and 20,000.
Because they're a same-sex couple, to qualify for NHS support, Kate and Kerry would have had to medically prove they can't have children naturally first by paying privately for multiple failed rounds of artificial insemination, which includes buying sperm and medication for treatment. Unlike many heterosexual couples without children, who can get help after trying to conceive naturally for 1 or 2 years.
We didn't expect to get everything given to us for free. The extortionate prices that we've had to pay, not just for the treatment itself, but for all the meds that go along with it.
I think it is quite harsh that we have to spend an awful lot of our own money to have what heterosexual couples can get for free, pretty much.
Laura Rose set up a support group for LGBTQ+ people after she and her wife took out loans and saved thousands of pounds for their own treatment.
Having a family and a child, we feel is a human right, and that human right is being taken away from people in our community.
You're a good boy.
Do you feel that gay couples are being priced out of starting a family?
Absolutely, and especially if it doesn't work soon on and you have to keep going and going. When do you say stop? How many loans do you take out before you say enough is enough? That's not fair in my mind, it's not.
The Department of Health and Social Care says it expects the variations in fertility services to start improving this year. Overall, though, it's part of a 10-year strategy, which means many gay couples could be timed out of having their dream family.
And you can read more on that story on the BBC News website. More than £15,000 has been raised in 2 days to support the family of a man who died while playing in a rugby match in Cambridgeshire. Arturus Rudis, who was 27, died during a home game at Wisbeach Rugby Club against Diss on Saturday. Flowers and a shirt have been laid at the scene and tributes have been paid by rugby teams and players across East Anglia. Plans have been approved to increase passenger capacity at London Luton Airport to 19 million people a year. The announcement comes as the airport is dealing with the aftermath of a fire that ripped through a terminal car park last week. Up to 1,500 vehicles were inside, and the airport says it's unlikely any will be salvageable. A vulnerable stretch of coastline in Norfolk has been further hit by erosion this weekend. At least 2 more metres of sandy cliff, along with 2 sheds and part of a road, have been lost to the sea at Hemsby. In recent years, a number of homes have been lost, and this latest erosion has left another home close to the cliff edge. Well, let's see what the weather has in store. Jules is here.
It's not great news actually for Hemsby later this week, which I'll come to in a moment, Susie. But let's talk about last night. First, widespread frost, the first of the season, and Santon Downham actually on the Suffolk-Norfolk border recording the lowest temperature in the UK last night of -2. So it's been a chilly morning. There's been some sunshine, and there will be some brightness and sunshine this afternoon, but it may be a bit hazy because we've got quite a lot of cloud out there. But apart from a few showers drifting in off the North Sea, it should be dry. Top temperatures of only about 11 to 13 degrees Celsius, but we will have light winds for this afternoon. So this evening we could still have a few showers drifting westwards, but eventually they'll die away and it will be a largely dry night with some clear spells. Can't rule out some patchy mist, and not as cold as last night with lows of about 6 to 10 degrees Celsius. And then tomorrow we've got this low pressure system pushing up from the south, bringing some wet weather to Ireland and the southwest of the UK. But for us, it's a dry day. There'll be some areas of cloud, but some sunshine and perhaps some thicker clouds starting to push in from the southwest later in the day. Temperatures, well, not quite so chilly tomorrow, highs of around 14 to 16 degrees Celsius, but we will have windier conditions, those east to southeasterlies, possibly gusting 30 to 35 miles per hour. And we've got similar wind gusts on Wednesday. Wednesday a dry start, but eventually rain pushing in from the southwest. Sunshine and showers on Thursday, and then it does look like outbreaks of rain potentially on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And at the moment, some really very windy weather Friday and into Saturday. And in fact, on the coast, we could have gusts around 50 to 60 miles per hour. And just before I go, here are your overnight lows. So as you can see, it's going to be actually a lot milder overnight.
Jules, thank you very much. That's all from us. We'll be back at 6:30. Have a very good afternoon. Goodbye.